Revealed, how playing innocent helped unlock my grandmother's amazing $100,000 secret. Emily's heart raced as she clutched the letters in her hands, their faded ink whispering stories of dreams deferred and hopes hidden like treasures. It wasn't just about the money, it was about the legacy of her grandmother, an immigrant who battled every prejudice and still poured love into her family. Every morning, Emily slipped into her waitressing apron at the diner, the scent of greasy breakfasts and the hum of small-town chatter her constant companions. Her mother, a hard-working woman with tired eyes and a weary smile, depended on Emily, who carried the weight of their world on her shoulders. It had been this way for as long as she could remember. Yet buried under the routine was a glimmer of hope, ignited by her grandmother's unwavering spirit. As she sifted through old boxes after her grandmother's passing, Emily stumbled upon the cherished letters tied together with time-worn twine. They carried tales of love, struggle, and, buried within, the promise of a hidden fortune, $100,000 that could erase their struggles. The idea danced in her mind, tantalizing yet heavy with the burdens of the past. But unraveling the contents of those letters revealed more than just money. They peeled back layers of family secrets and cultural biases that had separated them for years. Emily felt the churning swell of emotions, a mix of anger and compassion, surge in her chest. Why had they hidden these truths? Why had her uncle clung to outdated prejudices that tore at the fabric of their family? At the annual Veterans Fundraiser, meant to celebrate the sacrifices of local heroes, Emily found herself sharing a table with her uncle, his eyes hard, much like the granite facade he wore. Perhaps this gathering was the perfect stage for the truth to spill forth. She sensed the weight of history pressing down on her, urging her to speak. "Isn't it time we celebrated our heritage? All of it?" she ventured, her voice steady yet vulnerable. The room hushed, a wave of expectation washing over them. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." With every mention of her grandmother's sacrifices, Emily deftly guided the conversation, illuminating truths hidden beneath layers of denial. She spoke of resilience and pride, weaving a narrative that not only aimed to unveil their hidden fortune but to piece together the fragmented legacy they all shared. The tension in the room thickened as her uncle's face darkened, yet murmurs spread through the crowd, glances passing that hinted at the shift. Emily felt a spark ignite. Could this be the moment she unified her family against the tide of bias that threatened to drown them? As the past fought with the present, the air thick with unresolved tension, Emily knew the true treasure lay not just in the money but in awareness, dignity, and the hope of a united family reclaiming their story. She stood at the edge of revelation, heart pounding with anticipation. Would her courage dismantle the walls that had long divided them? Could her innocent facade be the key to unlocking not just a fortune, but a family's identity? The air crackled with promise as the answers lingered just out of reach, leaving Emily and her family on the brink of transformation. Emily's heart thudded in her chest as she looked around the room, noting the faces of her family, caught between disbelief and curiosity. Could she really say what needed to be said? The night held a promise of change, and she felt every second ticking by as if it were a heartbeat echoing her desire for connection. Her uncle shifted, discomfort etching lines into his forehead. His mouth tightened as if he was wrestling with something heavy, and Emily gathered her courage. The words she had practiced in her mind came tumbling forward, tumbling with unexpected clarity. "Abuelo loved this family. He fought for his dreams, just like Grandma," she said, raising her voice a little above the murmurs. "He blended cultures, stories. His journey should inspire us, not divide us. What he achieved despite the odds is a testament to who we are." An elderly man seated at the end of the table, a former veteran himself, nodded slowly. "She's right," he chimed. "We've all got stories to tell. Some that make us uncomfortable, but they're still ours. That small support ignited something in the shadows. Emily caught a glimpse of hope reflected in her mother's eyes. It seemed to spread, a ripple across the table, urging others to chime in. I remember stories of your grandmother, her mother spoke softly. How she held this family together, through everything. No one was supposed to know about her struggles. We thought she was protecting us, but she was protecting herself too, wasn't she? Emily interjected. If we don't bring these stories into the light, how will we ever truly know her? The room shifted, the mood bending in an unexpected way. Emily noticed her uncle's gaze darting, how he seemed far away even surrounded by family. The familiar weight of his disapproval loomed above them. But there was also a glimmer of something else, uncertainty mixed with curiosity. I never wanted anyone to know that part of us, he finally spoke, his voice low but firm. It felt safer to ignore it. Safer? Or just easier? Emily replied, her words veiled with caution but tinged with hope. The courage generated by her own clarity was climbing inside her until she felt ready to leap. Look, we all face challenges, she said, emotion swelling in her chest. But to ignore or deny our heritage is to deny who we are. I found Grandma's letters. They're more than just a fortune, they're pieces of our identity waiting to be embraced. This time, the silence in the room felt different. The collective intake of breath signified a crack in the ice she never thought she would see. A stirring of something dormant, yet precious possibility. What if, just maybe, they could heal together? As if she had thrown a pebble into a still pond, the ripples stirred each person's demeanor, something changing in their expressions, unsettlement mixed with gentle curiosity. Fine, her uncle finally said, almost too quietly for her to hear. But where is the proof of these claims? I refuse to touch anything without proper evidence. A frisson of determination surged through Emily, coaxing nerve and clarity from her heart as she answered, then let us find it. Together, we can uncover the truth as a family. The idea hung in the air, barely tangible but heavy with potential. Emily could feel the gravity of their past swirling around them, beckoning them closer, inviting them to weave a brighter future. She wondered, however, whether they could commit to this journey and what the family might unearth about their shared narrative. As they sat there, pondering her invitation, a shiver of excitement and fear gripped Emily. What lay beneath the surface for them all? Secrets, pain, tales of perseverance. Would everyone embrace the effort it would take to unite their scattered threads into a single tapestry, or was this simply the start of another painful division? Emily's heart raced. The transformation she longed for flickered in the air like a candle's flame, vulnerable but alive. She took a deep breath, determined to continue the conversation. The path ahead was unclear, but she was resolute. What legacy would they choose to build from the fragments of their stories? And what treasures would they unearth along the way? The moment hung thick in the air, filled with the unspoken questions and tangled emotions swirling around the table. Emily could sense the tension as her uncle's eyes narrowed, battling with the weight of expectation. She held her breath, wishing she could see beyond the walls of skepticism he'd built. Together? He scoffed, trying to mask his discomfort with sarcasm. You think that just because you found some letters, we're all suddenly on board with whatever mystery you bring up? Maybe not suddenly, Emily answered, her voice steadying. But this is our chance to dig deeper, to explore who we are as a family. We owe it to each other and to them. She motioned toward the empty chairs that once filled the room with laughter and warmth. We can't let their stories vanish into silence. The soft murmurs began again as her siblings exchanged glances, uncertainty mixed with intrigue. Their curiosity was a seed, slowly taking root under her fervent belief. Let us just see what's in those letters, her sister Jenna finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. What if there is something valuable there? That's it. Emily exclaimed, her heart quickening. We can meet regularly. Let us discuss what we find and how it affects us. If we work together, maybe we could even shed some light on the darker parts of our past. Emily noticed the shift, the way her mother's face softened, revealing a desire for connection that matched her own. "I hated the secrecy," her mother admitted, glancing momentarily at her husband, who returned her gaze with a hardened expression. "Finding our truth could help us heal, not just for ourselves but for our children." Her uncle leaned back, the creases around his eyes deepening as he mulled over the idea. What if this uncovering brings up things we're not ready to face? He shifted in his chair. Sometimes, ignorance is bliss. But what kind of bliss comes at the expense of knowing each other? Emily challenged. "I can't be the only person at this table who craves understanding." A flicker of agreement flashed in her uncle's eyes, but it quickly faded, replaced by the hold of fear. "You don't know what you might find. These letters could unearth painful memories. History has a way of resurfacing." Her father finally spoke, his voice low but resonant. "We've been carrying these burdens long enough. Perhaps it's time we find out who we are, regardless of how uncomfortable it may feel." Emily almost gasped at her father's unexpected support. It was the nudge she needed. "Let us do this together," she urged. "Bring your hesitations, your fears, your truths. We can create a circle where no voice is too small to be heard." The room fell silent as her family absorbed her words. Emily could see possibility glowing in her siblings' eyes, crackling like electricity in the air around them. "Fine," her uncle muttered. "I'll be a part of this, but I'll expect full transparency." Emily's heart soared. "That's all I ask. Besides, I think transparency will lead us to something greater than we can imagine. We're not alone in this. This is a collective journey." As they navigated through uncertainty, a tentative agreement washed over the room. They felt less like distant relatives and more like a team gathering to uncover a shared legacy. Just then, Emily's phone buzzed, interrupting the moment. She pulled it out, seeing a notification from a family history app she had been using. "Oh, wait!" she exclaimed, looking at them wide-eyed. "I think there's more to these letters. I could upload some of the findings right now." Everyone leaned in, curiosity piqued, and Emily couldn't help but grin as their attention shifted. Would the clues lead them down a path to discover just how amazing their heritage was? As she scrolled, a sense of urgency enveloped her. What if the discoveries they made opened doors they once thought closed forever? Her thoughts raced with excitement. What had their grandmother hidden in those words? As each line unfolded, she felt they were stepping closer to a truth that could bond them in ways they never thought possible, shedding light on shadows from their past. But amid the thrill coursing through her veins, a question lingered: were they truly ready for whatever revelations lay ahead? Emily felt the familiar pulse of excitement thrumming in her chest as she opened the first letter. She could hardly believe this moment had arrived. She had imagined countless scenarios, each one swirling with mystery and emotion. Slowly, she began to read aloud, letting the words fill the room. "Dear Emily," she started, her voice dropping almost to a murmur. "If you're reading this, it means that the path I hoped you would seek is within your reach. This family has more layers than an onion, and each layer holds pieces of our shared journey." Jenna leaned in closer, her eyes wide, as if she was afraid to miss a single syllable. The room seemed to draw closer around them. Emily glanced at her uncle, whose brow was furrowed but whose lips were slightly parted in uncharacteristic curiosity. There was something in the air, a sense of unity, of a shared goal. "There are sighs of joy and heartaches buried deep within our history," Emily continued. "You may find things that hurt, but also things that bind us together." Her heart raced. She could feel the weight of those words like a thick fog lifting. What secrets would they unearth, and what wounds might they heal? "Let us take our time with this," Emily suggested after finishing the letter. "We can explore each one fully. I believe there's a reason for everything she wrote. She wanted us to learn, to grow." Her mother nodded apprehensively. "But Emily," she said, her voice laced with caution. "What if it reveals things we regret? Things we would rather forget. Emily could feel the tension return, like a wave receding only to surge back stronger. But she couldn't let fear halt their progress. Then we faced them, together. We've spent too long pretending those parts of our history don't exist. If we dig in now, we can understand and maybe even forgive. Jenna's expression transformed, a flicker of determination igniting in her eyes. I want to know more. About them. About us. Well, they were brave, Emily said, her own courage swelling. They weathered storms we can't even imagine. She glanced at the remaining letters, counting them silently. We owe it to their memory to discover the truth. All right, her uncle offered, with tentative acceptance. I'll go along with this for now, but consider this your warning, family secrets can sometimes bring unexpected fallout. Emily met his gaze, ready to challenge him with a smile. Then let us prepare for it. We've got this together. Excitement buzzed in the air as Emily reached for a second letter. This time, she felt almost dizzy with anticipation. What tales awaited them next? Would they uncover hidden treasures of family history? With each letter unfolded, she imagined each new revelation shaping not just their past but their future too. Her fingers trembled as she began reading the next passage. Keep your hearts open, and you may find not just the truths you seek, but connections that have long been buried. The room held its breath as her voice echoed off the walls, each word casting a spell of unity. They were crossing a threshold into a world of possibility, something new shimmering just beyond grasp. Yet, deep down, a question throbbed like a distant drum: what if something shocking resided in those words, something no one was prepared to hear? What if their journey through these letters opened scars instead of healing them? Emboldened, Emily pushed forward, unaware of the gentle unraveling that would soon follow. Emily's voice echoed in the charged silence, each word a step deeper into the unknown. She could feel everyone leaning in, waiting, hearts collectively held in suspense. The deeper she went into the letter, the more it became clear that this wasn't just an ordinary correspondence. Though we've faced our share of darkness, love has been the light guiding us, she read, her pulse quickening. You will discover that one of our ancestors ventured far, chasing dreams that seemed impossible. In doing so, they laid the groundwork for what we are today. The room crackled with energy, the anticipation becoming palpable. Jenna's gaze was fixed on Emily, her eyes glistening with curiosity. What does she mean by chasing dreams? She whispered, urgency creeping into her tone. Emily paused, letting the question hang in the air like a beautiful weight. I don't know yet. But let us see. She turned the page, feeling a flicker of apprehension, the sort that crawled up her spine. It was like entering a hallway lit only by the flickering shadows of memories yet to be uncovered. You may uncover triumphs, heartbreaks, and yes, a fortune, the letter continued, sending chills racing through her body. But before you find treasures, you must confront your own truths. Forgive the mistakes of others and yourself to open the door. The words washed over them, stirring old feelings and hopes. Emily could see her mother's face, a mix of pride and worry. Her uncle seemed deep in thought, brow furrowed. What kind of fortune? He finally asked, his voice steady but edged with disbelief. Emily spared a glance at her uncle. It might be metaphorical or maybe it's something tangible. A legacy? The air shifted as doubts began to bob to the surface. What if this letter was leading them to disappointment rather than discovery? Maybe we should take a break, her mother suggested, glancing at her family around the table. We could come back to this later. No. Not yet, Jenna exclaimed, pleading desperation in her eyes. What if we're on the verge of something important? It might be life-changing. Emily felt her heart tumble with Jenna's enthusiasm. Exactly. We can't stop now. We need to know what else she wrote. With renewed determination, Emily flipped to the next part of the letter. There were mistakes that drove wedges between us. Secrets buried deeper than you know. Beware as the path unfolds, some shadows may arise, and you will need to lean on each other. The tension in the room amplified, a mix of fear and excitement swirling together. Just as Emily hesitated, a sudden gust of wind rattled the windows, a sharp reminder of the literal and metaphorical storms they were about to face. "Did you hear that?" Emily breathed, a chill spiraling through her. "We're really doing this." Her uncle cleared his throat, a hint of a smile creeping onto his face. "Well then, let us see where this crazy journey takes us." She smiled back, bolstered by his encouragement. They leaned closer together, forming a united front against whatever revelations awaited in the letters ahead. With a final deep breath, Emily dove back into the letter. "And at the end of this journey, you may just find a treasure worth more than gold," she read. $100,000 has been set aside, with a love that transcends time. The room went silent. Emily felt a rush of adrenaline. The possibilities swirled around like falling leaves, beautiful and terrifying at once. "Wait, what?" Jenna exclaimed, her voice rising in disbelief. $100,000. Eyes wide, all thoughts of reluctance slipped away as excitement took hold. "Are you serious?" her uncle asked, his skepticism battling with intrigue. "Is this for real?" Emily's voice trembled as she spoke. "It seems we're all about to find out." But as they leaned in closer to uncover the next piece of the puzzle, an unsettling thought nestled in the back of Emily's mind. What would they have to face to get to the truth? With newfound determination, she turned the page, ready for whatever revelations awaited, but an echo of doubt lingered. Would they be strong enough to handle what was hidden beneath the surface? The moment Emily turned the page, a shiver raced down her spine. The air thickened around them, charged with anticipation. She glanced at each family member, their expressions a mixed tapestry of hope and anxiety. "Here goes nothing," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "You must journey through the past to bring to light what has long been hidden. Only then will you understand the significance of our family's legacy. The key lies in a town that holds the roots of our history." The words hung in the air, tugging at her thoughts. "A town?" Emily echoed, her heart racing. "Do you think she means the place where Grandma grew up?" "I think so," Jenna replied, eyes wide and enthusiastic. "That could be where we find answers." "Or more questions," her uncle added, his serious tone pulling them back from the edge of glee. "We need to be ready for anything. Old secrets can be painful." Emily nodded, a tight knot forming in her stomach. What if those secrets could hurt us? Silence draped over the room. The weight of uncertainty pressed against them like an invisible blanket. "Whatever happens, we'll face it together," her mother said, breaking the silence. "That's what counts." Her words radiated a warmth that slowly enveloped Emily's insecurities. Still, the thought of diving into the unknown felt daunting. Emily pressed forward. There was a name mentioned in the letter too. "It says find the keeper of the key, who knows the truth yet fears to speak." That could point us to someone. Maybe the town has local records or an old newspaper. Jenna suggested, her phone already out, fingers flying as she Googled. "Come on. Don't leave us hanging here." Emily teased lightly, though anxiety coiled tight in her stomach. As they all gathered closer, Jenna read aloud, "It looks like there's an old library there. It could have information on our family and even what did you call it? The key?" Emily swallowed hard. "Yes, that'd be a start. But we don't even know where to find it." A sudden creaking sound made them jump. The wind thrashed outside, rattling the windows as if urging them to step outside their comfort zone. Jenna leaned forward, eagerness shining in her eyes. "We need to go see this town for ourselves. What if we discover something incredible?" "I don't know," Emily started, hesitating. "What if it's unsafe? What if we just stir up things we're not prepared to deal with?" "Isn't that the point?" her uncle interjected gently. "Facing the truth no matter how hard or scary it may seem." Emily could feel the weight of his words pressing down. A mixture of fear and resolve permeated her heart. "Okay," she finally replied, her voice steadier than before. "Let us do it. Let us go to that town." Cheers erupted around the table. Jenna raised her fist. "I'm in." But just as excitement surged, a dark cloud settled over Emily's thoughts. "What do you really think has been hidden?" she asked, her voice low as her gaze dropped to her hands. "Will we be able to handle it?" The excitement dimmed momentarily, apprehension hung around their decision like thick fog. The idea of confronting unknown truths sparked both a thrill and a chill. "Whatever it is, it's part of us," her mother said softly, squeezing her hand. "And it's time to learn the story." They made plans to leave by dawn. With a sense of urgency bubbling in the air, Emily couldn't shake her worry. What if they uncovered something that shattered everything they thought they knew? As they prepared for the journey, an unsettling thought crept into her mind: was the key really worth the discoveries that awaited them? Determined, she took a deep breath and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. They were in this together. But the echo of uncertainty still lingered. As the night stretched on, sleep came uneasily, the weight of lingering shadows promising answers that might reveal more than just a fortune. What awaited them in that town, and would it change them forever? The dawn broke with a golden hue filtering through the curtains, waking Emily to the sound of rustling and quiet chatter. She blinked against the light, her thoughts immediately drifting back to the letter and the secrets it promised to unveil. The urgency hung in the air like steam rising from a freshly brewed cup of coffee. In the kitchen, the aroma of pancakes filled the space as her mother flipped them with practiced ease. Jenna was sprawled at the table, laptop open, absorbed in a map of the town they were about to visit. Emily felt a blend of excitement and dread swirling within her. Would they really find the answers they were seeking? "Are you excited?" Jenna asked, glancing up. There was a sparkle in her eyes, maybe a trace of mischief. "I guess so," Emily replied, though she could tell her voice didn't quite match her friend's enthusiasm. "More like anxious, to be honest. Don't worry. It's going to be fun," Jenna assured her, though Emily noticed the slight tremor in her friend's voice as well. Uncertainty gripped them all, even if they tried to mask it with excitement. Her uncle wandered in, ruffling Emily's hair playfully. "You ready, kiddo? This is a family adventure." "Yeah, about that," Emily said, her heart racing. "What if we're not ready for what we uncover? What if the past is worse than we ever imagined?" "The past can be painful," her mother said softly, setting down a plate of pancakes. "But sometimes, healing starts with the truth. Besides, we're all in this together. No matter what we find, we'll face it as a family." That reassurance soothed some of Emily's worries, but a heavy weight still settled in her stomach. Breakfast went by in a blur of chatter and laughter that felt almost surreal. They packed up the car, piling in snacks, a couple of blankets, and Emily's notebook for taking notes. As they backed out of the driveway, she caught a glimpse of their home, familiar and safe, and a pang hit her. What if nothing felt the same upon their return? The car ride was filled with a shared playlist of old favorites and the sound of Jenna's laughter breaking through Emily's melancholy. As they approached the town, the edges of Emily's nerves began to fray. She watched the trees blur past, their leaves whispering secrets she could almost hear. What stories had this town been holding all along? When they finally arrived, the town appeared quaint, but with an eerie stillness hanging in the air. The main street was lined with brick buildings, some fading but proud, others maybe on their last legs. A library stood at the end, old yet inviting, with its tower reaching for the sky. Emily felt another wave of anxious anticipation course through her. "Let us go in," Jenna exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious as they all climbed out of the car and walked toward the entrance. The moment they stepped inside, musty books and polished wood greeted them like old friends. The librarian, an elderly woman with sharp eyes and a knowing smile, looked up from her desk. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice soft but steady. Yes, Emily took a step forward, her voice wavering slightly. We're looking for information about our family about the town. The librarian studied them for a moment, as if weighing the gravity of their quest. You might find what you're looking for in the historical archives. Follow me. As they walked deeper into the library, Emily could feel her heart pounding. What were they about to uncover? Would it transform their family story forever? As they entered the archive room, dust motes danced in the sunlight streaming through the window. Rows of old records and photographs stretched out before them, a treasure trove of history waiting to be explored. Wow, Jenna whispered, reaching out to touch a weathered book. Emily felt a shiver run down her spine again, the weight of anticipation pressing in. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. What awaited in these records? Just then, Emily spotted a tattered envelope tucked between two books. Her pulse quickened. It held a name she recognized, a name that had echoed in whispered family stories. Wait. What is this? She gasped, pulling it out carefully. Everyone turned to her, wide-eyed. What did you find? Her uncle asked, stepping closer. As Emily opened the envelope, the air felt charged. Her hands trembled slightly, but she couldn't help but feel the thrill of discovery. It was like standing at the edge of a cliff, ready to dive into the unknown. What secrets would this little piece of paper hold, and how would it reshape everything they thought they knew? Would this uncovering bring them together or drive them apart? Emily's heart raced with intrigue as she read the first line to the keeper of the key, but before she could continue, a loud crash echoed through the library, shattering the silence. Emily jumped, her heart pounding as she spun around. What had just happened? The thrill of adventure and the taste of danger collided within her. What had they stumbled upon, and was it too late to turn back? Emily's breath hitched as the crash resonated through the library like a thunderclap. Books shook on their shelves, a few teetering threateningly. The librarian's sharp eyes widened, her calm facade faltering for the briefest moment. Stay close. Her uncle commanded, instinctively positioning himself between Emily and the sound. Jenna's hand found Emily's wrist, gripping it tightly, their shared anxiety translating into silence. As they cautiously peered around the room, they spotted the source of the disturbance. A stack of ancient books had toppled over, scattering across the floor as a wispy figure darted past the shelves. Emily's pulse raced not just from fear, but from a curious excitement, a feeling that they had stumbled into something alive and unpredictable. Did you see that? Jenna murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. Let's check it out, Emily said, surprising herself with the determination in her own tone. The pull of the unknown, the weight of the letter in her hand, compels her, urging her forward. They ventured deeper into the archive, their surroundings transforming from rows of polished wood to shadowy nooks. Dust motes danced in the slivers of sunlight that pierced through, but the eerie stillness loomed larger than before. What if it's just a trick of the light? Her uncle pondered, attempting to comfort them, but his voice carried a tension he couldn't suppress. Emily glanced back at him, a knot forming in her stomach. But something was different now. The unsettling feeling in her chest was paired with an insatiable need to uncover the truth, to confront whatever lay ahead. Maybe they would find answers, or perhaps only more questions, but she had to know. Look. Jenna pointed, her voice wavering right behind the desk. There seemed to be a small door, half hidden by a curtain of cobwebs. Do you think it leads somewhere? Only one way to find out, Emily replied, stepping forward. With each advancing step the memories of whispered family tales and the letter encouraged her, each told of hidden secrets and things left unsaid. The door creaked when pushed, revealing a narrow staircase that spiraled downward into darkness. Emily hesitated, acutely aware of the apprehension surrounding her. Are you sure we want to go down there? Jenna's eyes twinkled with a mixture of fear and excitement. It's just an old library. Think of what we could find. With a deep breath, they descended into the unknown. The air shifted, laden with undiscovered stories. Each step down felt like peeling back layers of history, darkness engulfing them as they went deeper. Halfway down, Jenna squeezed Emily's hand. "What if we find something dangerous?" "Then we'll handle it together," Emily assured her, though her heart hammered loudly against her ribs. When they finally reached the bottom, the aroma of musty paper wrapped around them like an old friend as they stepped into a cavernous room. Shelves lined the walls, filled with even more forgotten texts. In the center was a table. Upon it lay an assortment of objects draped in white cloth. "Do you see that?" Jenna gasped, pointing at the table. Curiosity tugged at Emily, pulling her toward it. "We have to look." As they gathered around the table, her breath caught again. The cloth fell away neatly, revealing a trove of artifacts, but the most striking was a small, ornately decorated box locked and glimmering, almost as if inviting them. "What's inside it?" Jenna murmured, eyes wide. "I guess we're about to find out," Emily replied, almost breathless. But just as she reached to touch the box, a shadow flickered in the corner of her eye, prompting her to look up. There, standing at the threshold of the room, was the librarian, her expression unreadable. "Some secrets remain buried for a reason," she stated, her voice low and firm. Caught between a desire for the truth and an instinctual warning, Emily felt the weight of destiny. What lay within the box? And had they crossed a line that would forever change their family dynamic? Emily's heart raced, anticipation curling with dread. Would they discover the secrets or be swallowed by them? Emily's pulse quickened as the librarian's words hung in the air like a heavy fog. Each syllable pulled at her, cautioning her against the thrill beckoning from the locked box. Jenna's breath caught beside her, eyes wide with unspoken worry. Maybe we should go back." Emily's uncle suggested, the tremor in his voice betraying his unease. "I think we've seen enough for today." "No." Emily burst out, the word escaping before she could check herself. The urgency that propelled her felt undeniable, like a magnet pulling her toward the truth. "We can't leave now. We're so close to finding out." "Close to finding out what?" The librarian challenged, stepping further into the room, an aura of authority enveloping her. The shadows danced around her, almost as though they were responding to her presence. "The box," Jenna murmured, glancing nervously between Emily and the librarian. "We just want to know what's inside." "That box contains stories," the librarian replied, her voice softening just a notch. "Some stories are not meant to be reopened. Trust me on that." Emily felt the weight of those words. A memory flickered to life, her grandmother's laughter mingling with hushed tones about family secrets, the kind of whispers heavy with history. What if this box held the answers to those tales, a bridge to the past she never fully understood? "Isn't it our right to know?" Emily challenged, stepping forward. A spark of defiance ignited in her chest, urging her onward. "It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to my family." The librarian regarded her with a mixture of concern and curiosity, as if sizing up both Emily's determination and the weight of her family's legacy. For a moment, silence reigned, broken only by the faint rustle of paper in the corners of the room. Emily could feel Jenna inching closer, sharing the electricity of the moment. Together they held their breath, ready to confront whatever decision lay ahead. "Very well," the librarian inclined her head thoughtfully. "But be warned, once you open that box, you cannot unlearn what you find inside. The truth can be more powerful than you think." With that, Emily stepped closer to the table, its surface cool to the touch. "We can handle it," she said, tilting her gaze toward Jenna. "Right?" "Right," Jenna answered, though her voice trembled slightly. With trembling hands, Emily reached for the ornate box, its metal cool against her fingertips. She examined its intricate details, the designs of leaves and flowers weaving around the corners. Something about it felt alive, pulsing with the energy of stories waiting to be told. "What if it's something terrible?" Jenna asked, her voice barely more than a whisper. Emily paused, her heart pounding in her chest. "Then we'll face it together." Whatever this is, it's part of us, Jenna. We owe it to ourselves to find out. After a deep breath, she turned the lock and gently pushed open the lid. A cloud of dust swirled up, catching glimmers of light as it danced around them. Inside lay a collection of fragile letters, each carefully folded and tied with delicate ribbons of faded colors. What are they? Jenna breathed, leaning over to peer inside. I think they're letters from my grandmother, Emily whispered, a mixture of excitement and fear coursing through her veins. She must have kept them hidden for a reason. As she delicately lifted a letter, the librarian's imposing presence seemed to fade into the background. This was at the moment they would unravel the past. But as she began to read, an overwhelming sense of urgency pulled at her gut. Words leapt off the page, weaving tales of love, loss, and secrets that reshaped her understanding of her family. Each letter held a heartbeat, a life lived under the surface. But abruptly, out of the shadows, a chilling laughter echoed through the room, drenched in malice. Did you really think it would be that easy? Startled, Emily looked up to find a shadowy figure standing by the entrance, eyes glinting with curiosity and maybe something darker. Who were they, and what did they want? Emily's heart thundered as fear gripped her. What else awaited them in the depths of this library? Emily's heart raced as the shadowy figure loomed in the doorway. The laughter sliced through the air like a knife, darkness overshadowing their fragile victory. It was as if the room itself held its breath, waiting for the unfolding drama. Who are you? She called out, her voice steadier than she felt. The tension in the air was palpable. Jenna's grip tightened on her arm, a silent plea for reassurance. Just a humble wanderer, the figure replied, stepping into the light. Emily's stomach nodded as she recognized the familiar outline. It was a distant relative, a name she had only heard in family murmurs cloaked in an aura of intrigue. Why are you here? Her uncle demanded, fear breeding protectiveness as he stepped in front of Emily. The relative chuckled softly, eyes glinting with mischief. I'm here to uncover what you all seek, stories that are better left untold. You think you're prepared for the truth? The letters in that box hold power, and the past is rarely what it seems. Emily's heart pounded in her ears, pounding rhythmically against the weight of the letters in her hands. What if this person was right? What if the revelations shattered everything she thought she knew about her family? She locked eyes with Jenna, who looked equally shaken. Tell us what you know. Emily felt anger flare within her. We deserve the truth. Truth? The relative's expression shifted, growing serious. Truth comes with a price. You may think you're ready, but are you willing to face the dark underbelly of history? Secrets can breed resentment, division, even ruin, especially when the truth isn't pretty. The air thickened again, choking with tension. Emily squeezed the letter in her hands, memories flooding her, dreams curdling into uncertainty. What had her grandmother seen? What boasted of love but masked pain? Jenna stepped forward, fiery determination igniting her face. What do you know? We're the ones diving into the past, we deserve answers. The relative smiled, a twisted grin that echoed the shadows behind them. It's more complicated than it seems. Those letters you hold have the power to bridge the past and the present, but also to fracture it completely. Emily took a deep breath. Her heart thundered in defiance against the doubt that tried to creep in. She had come this far, and there was no turning back. We'll face whatever comes together, she declared with firm resolve. We want to know our family, all of it good and bad. We owe it to ourselves to understand. The relative's demeanor flickered, perhaps caught off guard by their determination. Very well, but be warned, truth is a double-edged sword. It sheds light but can also darken hearts. There are connections and consequences you'll need to face. I said we're ready. Emily insisted, her voice rising with confidence. We may not know everything, but we won't back down. The atmosphere shifted, anticipation crackling like static. Her uncle nodded, eyes narrowed in clear agreement. We're in this as a family. If those letters can help us understand our heritage, we'll unravel it together. As if sensing their resolve, the figure shifted back, eyes narrowing slightly as a realization crossed their face. Then let us see what you discover. The first letter is all you need to dive into the storm. Just remember, courage can reveal wonders but can also stir whirlwinds. Emily nodded, determination flowing freely. She felt the weight of the moment, like the earth's energy surging through her veins as she clutched the letters. Let us open it together, she said, glancing among her family. Passion and resolve brewed among them, chasing out doubts that lingered uselessly in the corners. With cautious yet firm hands, Emily opened the first letter again. The initial words began to weave their magic, tales of struggle and hope unfurled on the page, connecting to the soul of her grandmother. Each word blossomed into vibrant images of generations past. Triumphs echoed alongside failures, heartbreak simultaneously intermingled with joy. Deeper stories of sacrifice emerged, every letter a glimpse into a life richly woven with resilience. As the sunlight pooled around their feet, illuminating the room, shadows began to lift. Emily realized that they were not just unveiling secrets but embracing their collective truth, stitching their family tapestry tighter with every word read aloud. Jenna leaned in, her voice thick with emotion. "We've got this, Emily. Whatever lies ahead, we can handle it together." The relative, watching quietly, seemed to be fading from a specter into a watcher of a new journey. Perhaps it was time to let the past breathe, to let their stories come alive under beams of honesty. Her heart lighter, Emily continued reading, the air charged with a newfound understanding. Together they would navigate the tides of their family's history, revealing intricate patterns of connection and healing. This was the moment. Transformation glimmered with every word, stitching together tales of authenticity that deepened the roots of their family tree. Their bonds felt firm, shaken but not splintered. They were on the verge of reclaiming their identity, of embracing the past while moving confidently toward the future. As they read the last line of the first letter, a charged silence hung in the air, laden with the promise of more to come. Together, they'd uncover every twisted part of their history and light it with the glow of understanding. And they were ready. Now it was time to navigate the journey together. Don't wait another second. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will unfold. Click that bell and mark all notifications. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for this journey. Share your reactions and thoughts about this powerful ending in the comments. Let your voice be heard. And for everyone who needs to witness this transformation, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends. Remember, true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.